Saturn, the Lord of Karma, is wrapping its retrograde and is stationing direct on Sunday, October 23rd at 12:07 a.m. Eastern. When Saturn is direct, it's a lot easier to show up as an authority figure in your life, take control of your karma, and pursue all of your long-term projects. Let's take a closer look. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below. I am currently running an eclipse season special, offering $30 off all of my readings during the eclipse season, only limited time until October 31st. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I really appreciate that. A quick mention that my Venus in Libra, Mercury in Virgo candles and oils are still available for sale. Could be really great during the eclipse season, during Mars going retrograde. Venus might bring some romantic harmony and balance in your life, while the energy in the skies is less bright and glamorous. And Mercury is, of course, always good for verbal self-expression, clear speech, writing, communication, attention to detail, because when I created the candle, it was in Virgo, so it carries those qualities. And funny story, actually, I was the most precise with my temperatures when I was making these candles, and you know, they look quite like perfect inside, and smell very nice. Anyways, let's dive into Saturn, but for candles and oils, there are links down below. Saturn has been retrograde since June 4th, so 4.5 months, and it stations direct on Sunday, October 23rd at 18 degrees of Aquarius. People with planets between like 18 and 25 degrees fixed signs may have felt this retrograde the most, where you may have encountered more blocks and you may have dealt with introspection and looking within and trying to understand what you're trying to achieve. Saturn is the Lord of Karma, right? Saturn is the planet that makes us see the reality of life, that reminds us that we're not immortal, that our time is not limitless, that it is limited, and that we need to take responsibility for a lot of things in life. Saturn is the last visible planet, so it carries within that energy of like limits. It's the limit of our vision, right? It's the limit of our life in some way. Saturn is connected to death as well, because death is the limit of our incarnated presence on this planet. And if you haven't listened to my Saturn goes retrograde video, might be a good time to check it out right now, because you can look back at the last 4.5 months and see what kind of topics were present and what kind of topics you have been revisiting. When Saturn is retrograde, you are looking within and you're questioning your legacy. It's a lot more introspective, it's a lot more internalized, you know, versus when Saturn is direct, you may be dealing with clear responsibilities, clear projects, clear delays and authority figures, while internally it's less so, right? Like, let's say you're a Pisces rising and you have Saturn in the 12th house. Maybe during Saturn retrograde, you had to look at your self-defeating tendencies, your bad habits. You've considered starting therapy. But now when Saturn goes direct, if you haven't done a lot of internal work, it may push you against literal roadblocks and literal enemies, right? Like 12th house represents hidden enemies. So there might be like an actual authority figure that is standing in your way, and ideally connecting the outward manifestation and outward conflicts to the inner work that you've been doing, so it helps you grow even more. But yeah, like during Saturn retrograde, you may have revisited structures in your life, revisited boundaries, thought about things you want to accomplish, faced inner struggles, faced inner worries, deeper questions, right? If it's in your 4th house and you are a Scorpio rising, maybe matters related to family and parents and real estate could have come up. Your authority in the family, right? Your role within the family. your ties to the family. It could have been questions that you've been dealing with. So it all depends on where Saturn has been going through in your chart. And like I said, definitely check out the Saturn retrograde video I did. I feel like Saturn currently being in Aquarius definitely makes us think about the world outside of ourselves. It makes us think about our connections, our friendships, our role as citizens, right? As citizens of this planet, for example. So Saturn going direct could be about assimilating some of the lessons you have learned, and for example, in a very like visible way, right? Like becoming a vegetarian, or speaking up for the group that you belong to that is underrepresented. Recycling, right? Taking a bigger role within your community, maybe donating part of your earnings to a local animal shelter if you feel closely connected to the topic, or if you're just an animal lover in general. There might be more ease when it comes to pursuing long-term plans. Of course, Mars is about to go retrograde, making us question what those long-term plans are, or making us question what our desires are. But it's all part of the story. I don't think they exist separately, right? Like Saturn in Aquarius, this is the final retrograde, right? Saturn has entered Aquarius for the first time in 2020. And then it left Aquarius, and then it returned again. First time March 2020 when the pandemic started. Second time December 2020 when it conjoined Jupiter, making us wonder what this like next 20 years of our life will be about, what big projects we want to pursue, what role in the world we want to have, and how our individual actions impact the actions and community and the world around us. And this is the final, 2022 is the final retrograde, and we are in the final stretch of Saturn in Aquarius, which is of course not the end of Aquarian's topics. It's never the end, but Pluto follows shortly, and when Saturn exits Aquarius, Pluto enters Aquarius. So we're going to continue to look at structures in the world and in our life that are outdated, and beliefs that are too traditional, too conservative, too limiting, and how can we break free from them, right? Like the pandemic brought a lot of serious questions. Like, how do you protect people? How do you work from home? You know, how do you get medicine to everyone? How do you make sure people get vaccinated? Or like, how do you even deal with those kind of topics, right? Like, how do you respect people's freedom to make their own decisions while protecting the community? So we're going to continue to deal with this, but these are all bigger questions. On a personal level, I want to take a quick look at all 12 signs and see where can you expect a sense of upliftment a little bit, or a sense of ease. So for Aries rising, Saturn goes direct in your 11th house. If you have dealt with any blockages, any delays, any internal struggles related to friendships, communities, political fractions, or beliefs you have related to community, like if you represent a certain group of people, it doesn't have to be political, but some kind of group, even at work, if you are a leader, if you're like an ally to some kind of movement and you felt like there wasn't any progress there, or you had to rethink certain matters, you can expect a change of momentum. You can expect things to like start moving forward. Maybe even if a friend of yours have been dealing with some kind of difficulty, this could be the time when matters straighten up and get more clear. You can expect more developments related to connecting with others, related to your hopes and dreams. If you have a project that relies heavily, or plans that rely heavily on other people, this could be the time when you find support and even like start getting recognition for some kind of work that you've been doing. For Taurus rising, Saturn stations direct in the 10th house. And if you've spent the last 4.5 months questioning your career and questioning your direction in life and goals, and if you've dealt with any delays or experienced a sense of frustration, all of that was not in vain, right? Like that was meant to make you question things, because as a Taurus rising, you are going through this major professional and personal rebirth. And, you know, if you've been listening to me, I've been talking about it for a long time, so you must know. But Saturn retrograde could have been a slower period. Maybe you were questioning what exactly you want to accomplish, what exactly you want to be known for. Maybe you've been working on some kind of project behind the scenes. And Saturn going direct could be the time when you find finish the project, when you find the job, when you figure out what your client base is, or when you figure out how you want to be expressing yourself, right? Maybe it's quite literal, like you've been reworking your website during this time and rebuilding things and applying for school or applying for jobs. And this could be the time when you like see things speed up as much as they can with Saturn. But yeah, like speed up and start moving in the direction of clarity and, you know, pursuits of the future goals. For Gemini rising, Saturn going retrograde in the 9th house could bring clarity when it comes to education, legal, publishing matters, especially if you've been dealing with some kind of visas, waiting for a visa or waiting for some kind of legal matter to finish. This could be a change that you've been waiting for. And, you know, travel matters, if you want to travel but you couldn't, or you had to deal with other things, this could be the time when things change and perhaps you get more clarity about when you can travel and even like book some tickets and plan some things. For Cancer rising, Saturn will go direct in your 8th house. And if you, as a Cancer rising, if you felt blocked, if you felt somehow stuck, 8th house is the place of dependencies on other people. It's the place of sharing resources with other people. So if you've experienced any frustrations connected to debts, loans, taxes, group projects, dealing with your partner, maybe figuring out your joint financial situation, you can expect new developments there. You can expect a sense of like knowing, you know, Saturn at this point has been in your 8th house for 2 years, right? And it made you, or it's teaching you to be more self-reliant. It's teaching you to find freedom from unhealthy relationships, unhealthy debts, unhealthy dependencies. And so Saturn going direct could be very much the time when you are rebuilding your relationships, you're paying off debts, you are taking care of your dynamics with others and standing on your own 2 feet more. Let me know if this resonates in the comments below, if you've been dealing with this or if this has been a thing for you. For Leo rising, Saturn goes direct in the 7th house, and this is likely a new period in your relationships. Saturn begins its journey out of your 7th house. Congratulations. So if you've experienced, you or your partner, this is an important clarification. If you or your partner have experienced any relationship issues, any personal issues, like, you know, for your partner, this could be anything. Maybe they had to take responsibility for their family, as is the case with one of my Leo rising friends. Maybe they've been struggling to find work. Whatever it might be, they may have dealt with struggles. And Saturn going direct could be the time when things start to improve, when you see constructive developments in their life as well as in your relationship, because, you know, if they're doing well, it's likely to have a good effect on your relationship with them as well. For Virgo rising, Saturn stations direct in the 6th house, and this is a good fortune. This is good positive shift for your work matters and for health matters, as well as any matters related to pets. If you have animals and they've been going through some kind of health crisis, or if you have been struggling with health and even like health or overall energy and vitality, maybe you've been questioning your work and the amount of work that you're doing, this could be the time when the matters improve, when your health improves, when your work situation improves, when you get more clarity about what you're trying to perceive. It might also be the time when it becomes easier to make changes, because if you've been dealing with any, like, let's say health questions or work questions, maybe now is the time to actually implement the change, right? Start eating better, start taking Fridays off. If you do, let me know if you take Fridays off. That's a great habit to have, I think. But yeah, like, or if there's been any problems with people you work with, Saturn going direct could show you the way, could light the way and clarify things. For Libra rising, Saturn stations direct in the house of romance, creativity, and children. And this brings good fortune to those areas, right? Like, this brings more clarity, more forward momentum to those areas. So romantically, if you felt like there wasn't any romance in your life, or things felt stagnant and blocked and weren't moving forward, or you just felt kind of paralyzed by fears, this could be the time when your romantic life picks up, or you realize something about how you're standing in your own way and you start taking action. Same creatively, right? This could be the time when you get inspired to pursue some kind of creative project and maybe take it to the next level. If you've already been feeling inspired to, pursue any creative projects, this might be the time when you see that project blossom. This is my creative project and it's quite pretty, and I'm planning to take it further as much as I can. If you've dealt with any blockages and delays connected to children, or just an overall uncertainty connected to children, if you don't have any, this might be the time when you realize something and make a commitment to either becoming a parent or maybe not being a parent. And just an overall sense of relying on yourself to be your source of joy, I think, can come with this transit. Because if you've been through a longer period during which you have worked a lot, and you have had to separate a lot of time to have fun separately, the topics of joy could have been less important for you right now. But this could bring a change. I think this could bring a change where you start to enjoy your life more, and slowly but surely learn to have enough space for work and for joy. For Scorpio rising, Saturn stations direct in the 4th house, and this should bring positive developments connected to your home and family. Like, if you've been renovating and you've been sort of stuck, or you've been in a holding pattern, waiting pattern, this might be the time when the home renovation project or any other family related matter starts to develop, right? It starts to pick up, and maybe you finish that home renovation. Or maybe you've been busy renovating and now is the time when you're done and you can take a breath and just start living in this new environment that you've been working on. You may see changes to family. You may see developments related to parents. Maybe they're going through some kind of more solid period in their life, especially if they've been struggling at all with Saturn being retrograde. And together with that, there might also be like topics of belonging and where you see yourself in the future. You might find answers to some of those topics. For Sag rising, Saturn stations direct in the 3rd house, and 3rd house deals with your immediate environment, your skills, your hobbies, your schedule, your siblings, and your communication. So if you have felt like you couldn't quite speak up and express yourself and be honest or be direct about what you want, or if you felt like unsure about what you want to pursue, how you want to, where do you want to take your skills to, right? Or like how to express yourself, because sometimes 3rd house also deals with like blogging or writing, right? If you felt blocked, if you felt uncertain, this might be the time when you're gaining more confidence and clarity and understanding about your goals. This might also be the time when you decide to go back to school, for example, if you realize during the retrograde that you need more skills. And any delays and difficulties related to siblings might get resolved, and you can also see more ease when it comes to expressing yourself and speaking up and sharing your beliefs, and just like having more ease in self-expression, I think. Be that talking, be that journaling, be that painting or sculpting. For Capricorn rising, this is significant, right? For Capricorn and Aquarius, this is the most significant because they are ruled by Saturn. So with Capricorn rising, Saturn going direct in the second house is positive energy when it comes to your finances and values. If you have encountered any kind of financial difficulties and blockages and maybe conflicts related to money and your compensation, Saturn going direct will bring more clarity to financial matters. Maybe you get a payment for something you've been owed for a while. Sometimes retrogrades in the second house might make us spend money on something, and then when the planet goes direct, you could get that money back. So look at changes surrounding finances. And if you've been questioning what is it you want to pursue and what is it you want to make money doing, this might be the period where you make changes to your professional line of work, right? To your profession, and pursue new things, or ask for a raise or take over a project that you are interested in. For Aquarius rising, Saturn is your time lord. Saturn is your chart ruler. It stations direct in the first house, and this is beneficial for any personal projects, for any kind of situations in which you need to step up and be an authority figure, be visible, a leader, a mentor, a teacher of some kind. If you felt unsure about your goals, if you didn't know which direction you wanted to go in the last 4.5 months, this might be the time when you get clarity. And this might also be the time when all of these personal projects start to feel more cohesive and aligned. And of course, you know, Mars is going retrograde. So there's kind of questions in your sixth house, in your fifth house. So you are still, maybe you still need to be patient. You cannot necessarily expect all of the positive developments happen shortly because Mars is retrograde, but definitely more certainty about who you want to be is likely. And let me know if this resonates in the comments below. Finally, for Pisces rising, Saturn stations direct in the 12th house. And here we are looking at self-defeating habits, at your blind spots and your hidden enemies. And a lot of times you are your biggest hidden enemy, but maybe you've been considering starting therapy during Saturn retrograde, or you've been working on yourself somehow. Maybe you've been healing yourself, pursuing some kind of new hobbies, new passions, and Saturn going retrograde can help take those to the next level, especially if it's like a healing kind of field and healing type of job. Or if you felt stuck, if you felt uncertain, Saturn going direct could be the time when you gain more clarity about what you want to do, and also just mainly about how you're standing in your own way. Because this is all about your self-defeating tendencies, right? And Saturn going direct could be the time in which you make changes. Maybe you quit smoking, maybe you join the, I don't know, AA group, or you start running every day, or you start therapy. This could be the time in which you start to understand yourself better and maybe start to lean on support groups or spiritual matters to take better care of yourself. And let me know if you felt any of that as a Pisces rising, if you felt like you've been asking more spiritual questions, and if you've been examining how you might be defeating yourself. And I hope you have a great week. You know, we are almost at the eclipse season line, so stay strong out there, have a good eclipse season, and of course I'll be here to guide you and to talk to you through all the other important transits. Have a great week. Bye.